Go.
Tell me when you're ready, Edward. Okay. And I'm going to share my screen, hopefully successfully, and we'll see. I hope it works. Okay. And I need to share. Okay. Now, this is Friendship Force Dallas. We were founded in 1993, and this is an example of a lot of people waiting for, people who are arriving at the airport. We are a club of about now 75 members, a drop of about 15 members since before the pandemic, and we all live very spread out. This is an extremely spread out city. And we're all very spread out all over the place, mostly towards the northern side of Dallas, but we are very spread out indeed. Now, let me show this. Okay, now we'll start.
There you go.
Okay, there we go. Just to show you where Dallas is in Texas, I'm going to give you a short summary of a couple of pieces of information. The total area of Texas is 2,600, about 2,700 square miles. A simplified geography is that there is desert in the west. Then there are central plains. And then to the east, we have pine forests in the east, and then 300 miles of coastline along the Gulf of Mexico. Now, Dallas is situated in the north central area, which is pretty much plains, where it said, and we experienced this, as you know, only a few weeks ago, it said only a barbed wire fence protects it from the blue northers moving south down the plains from the frozen north. So unfortunately, we experienced that about 3 weeks ago, and some people are still recovering. The distance from Dallas to El Paso, and its equivalent on the other side of the border over here, is 721 miles. So you can see the distances are tremendous. The distance from Dallas to Dayton is 985 miles. So there's only just over 200-mile difference between driving to you guys and driving out to the west. The Dallas-Fort Worth population is approximately 7,500,000 total. So it's a very large city, and the two cities together are pretty large population. Okay, now I have here a video, which is the one I was talking about, which I'm going to start, I hope. It's in my cache, so we may have to be patient for a minute to wait for it to join us. Okay, good, there we go. And this is the video I talked about that Ken Walker made. Can you hear me?
Good job.
Good. Just wanted to make sure I hadn't disappeared off the sound stage, so to speak. Dallas is situated where the American South meets the American West. And since there are no geographical limitations, it's grown rapidly as corporations and their employees and other people have migrated to Texas and Dallas, making it a multicultural city, which is a hub of transportation, technology, financial services, and culture. We have many small and large theaters and museums. Like a lot of cities, it has numerous contrasts. On the left, you can see a photo of the Perot Museum of Nature and Science, which is obviously an ultra-modern building. And on the right, we have White Rock Lake, which is situated very close to downtown. In fact, very, very close to where I live, which is a great place to go and walk. It was the original reservoir for Dallas water supply, but that has been supplanted by a lot more of them further out as Dallas and the whole area has grown. So you can see there are tremendous contrasts. A couple of innovations, well, this is one of them, is that Clyde Warren Park was opened in 2012. It's a 5.2 acre public park, which is built over one of the freeways. It's Woodall Rogers Freeway, which runs right through the center of the city, which happens in so many big cities in this country, that completely break apart the city. So this was built right over this freeway. Down on the left-hand side, I think you can see a little part of the freeway down there, and it stretches about 3 or 4 blocks. And in fact, there's going to be an addition added to it. And on the right is a picture which shows you what the park looks like. Very frequently, it's a great walking area. A lot of people from the uptown area who live and work over there go over to Clyde Warren Park for lunch. And there are very often food trucks lined up alongside it. And then on the other side of Clyde Warren Park is the Arts District. So it makes a great day to be able to go down to the Arts District and go through Clyde Warren Park and then maybe go for a walk through Uptown, although that's not quite as attractive as the Arts District, in my opinion. You did see in the video very quickly an image of one of the hammering men. And these are the 3 of them shown in a shopping mall that we have here, which is in fact owned by the Nasher family, which owns one of the galleries down in one of the museums, the sculpture gallery down in the Arts District. And North Park is a shopping mall, but it also has, because it's affiliated with the Nasher Sculpture Museum, quite a lot of art exhibits there. Some of them rotating, some of them stay there, they're resident. And then on the right is a sculpture called Wave, which was designed by Santiago Calatrava. Wave is his first large-scale sculpture to be permanently installed in this country. And both of these sculptures have the ability to move. They can be in motion. Another couple of things of note in Dallas is at the top, the 2 top photos are examples of the Art Deco buildings in Fair Park, which was constructed for the Texas Centennial in 1936. And it's considered to be one of the largest of its kind of Art Deco collections in the country. And below in the middle, of course, we have Big Tex, who towers 55 feet over our annual state fair, which hopefully we will have this year, which obviously that was canceled last year because of the pandemic, but hopefully this year we will have that. And then here is a small cross-section of choices in the Arts District. From the lower left, this is a view of the Dallas Museum of Art. Then above that is the Nasher Sculpture Center, which I mentioned before, related to North Park Mall. It's a beautiful, beautiful sculpture center, and it has a garden, which you actually saw very quickly during the video. On the right, the top right, is an exterior view of the Meyerson Symphony Center, which was designed by IMT. And on the lower right is an image of the interior of the Meyerson. It's a pretty grand building. And then we have, I go for the quirky, so here we go. We have down in deep, we have an area in Dallas called Deep Ellum, which is actually, it's on Elm Street. And I'll give you a little more information about Deep Ellum in a minute. And this is about the Traveling Man. It's a set of 3 sculptures called the Traveling Man. And on the top left is his awakening, where he is basically coming up from the ground. He's being born from the ground. Top right is with him playing a guitar on the right-hand side. And then at the bottom is him actually walking. It's a very tall metal sculpture. All 3 statues are situated near Deep Ellum, light rail line, and represent the shared history between that area, and there was a railroad that ran through there, and the railroad. So these, the guitar, the image of him playing the guitar is situated in near one of the light rail stations. And then here down in Deep Ellum, which I told you I'd tell you a little more about, is a neighborhood composed largely of arts and entertainment venues near downtown. There are also a lot of lofts there, which were basically old buildings that have now been changed and converted into lofts. And the name Deep Ellum is a corruption of the area's principal thoroughfare, which is Elm Street. And there are many murals down there. I really love murals. So this is, I just had to include these in here. And in here on the lower left, the one on the lower left, you can see a picture of the Calatrava. We have 2 Calatrava bridges over the River Trinity, which is rather a sad, usually dried out little riverbed. Designed by Calatrava, who designed the wave, so the other one I mentioned. And then further on over here, we have, you can see a quick image of the walking man, the traveling man. So I like these. And then a few things here are a mosaic and statue in front of the Dallas Museum of Art. And on the right, a 30-foot eye sculpture of an eye downtown. Nobody quite knows exactly why it's there. I have tried to research it, and if anybody knows why it's there, please tell me, because nobody else seems to know. But it's down there, and you can walk right by it and just take a look at it. And then down in the center is the generally accepted mascot of Dallas, the winged Pegasus, which was originally erected over the Magnolia building from Magnolia Oil. So I think that's the end. So I will click and leave the show, and I will leave it up to you to thank you, Isabella, to do your presentation. Oh, there's Bambi. I've lost Bambi. You're muted, Bambi. Okay, I'm going to mute myself and let Dayton take.
Got it. I'm sorry. I'm a little slow. Good morning, everyone. I'm really excited to be sharing some information about our club with all of you. Are we ready here? There we go. As you look at the map of Ohio, you'll see that Dayton is located in the southwestern part of the state and sits along the Miami River. The name of our state, Ohio, came from the Seneca Nation's word for the Ohio River, Ohio, which means good river. Our state flag is a triangular swallowtail shape and the only non-rectangular state flag. Ohio Buckeye trees give Ohio its nickname of the Buckeye State, and Ohio residents are often called Buckeyes. Ohio is known as the birthplace of aviation, and we will be sharing more information about this a little later in our presentation. Ohio is also known as the mother of presidents, since 8 were elected from the state. Ohio was the 17th and first non-colonial free state to be admitted to the Union in 1803. As a free state during the Civil War, Ohio played a major role in the Underground Railroad. I'm pleased to share with you a little bit of information about our club. Our club began in 1979 and is celebrating 42 years of friendship this year. Friendship Force of Dayton currently has 105 members, ranging in age from 25 to 100, actually 101 years. Our 100-year-old member just turned 101 yesterday. Our members live in the city of Dayton, as well as neighboring communities and across the Miami Valley region. We also have several members who have moved out of town, but have maintained their Dayton Club membership. In our 40+ years, we've hosted and been hosted by hundreds of world citizens through Friendship Force and the Open World programs. We typically like to host Friendship Force inbound clubs 2 to 3 times per year and Open World groups 1 to 2 times per year from March through November. When you come to visit us, we'll start our time together with a welcome party and cap off the week with a farewell party, during which you'll have the opportunity to meet members of our club. Sometimes we also plan additional social gatherings during the week so that members can spend more time with our guests. When you travel to Dayton, there are 3 airports you can take advantage of to visit us: the Dayton International Airport, as well as the airports in Columbus and Cincinnati, which are each a little over an hour from Dayton. And also, just to put a plug in for the other clubs, you can also visit the Cincinnati Club and the Northeast Ohio Club up in the Cleveland area when you're here as well. Please visit our website and Facebook page to stay in touch with us. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Byron Wade, who's one of our board members. He'll share further information about what a week with our club might entail.
Thank you, Bambi. Dayton is the 6th largest city in the state of Ohio, with over 800,000 residents in the metropolitan area. Although we're not one of the biggest cities in Ohio, Dayton has a history of being on center stage, especially in the areas of aviation, innovation, and as a city of peace. The city of Dayton is synonymous with aviation because it was the home of the Wright brothers. The best way to learn about the history of flight is to visit any of the 18 aviation-related sites on Dayton's Aviation Trail. An excellent first stop is the Dayton Aviation Heritage National Historical Park, as you see in the left slide. The Wright brothers' initial venture was a print shop that was located in the building that is now the Aviation Trail Visitor Center. Later, they opened the Wright Cycle Shop next door, where they began manufacturing and selling bicycles of their own design. They used these profits then to finance their aviation experiments. After the inaugural flight at Kitty Hawk, the Wright brothers wanted to be closer to home, and they conducted further flight tests at Huffman Prairie Flying Field, located on present-day Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. This is where they performed the first bank turn and the first circular flight, which proved that the airplane was indeed a practical invention. The Wright Brothers Memorial is located on a bluff overlooking Huffman Prairie. It was dedicated in a ceremony attended by Orville on August 19th, 1940, his 69th birthday. There's also an excellent National Parks Visitor Center located at this site. The Hawthorne House was occupied by Orville Wright until his death. Both brothers planned and designed the house, but Wilbur died 2 years before Hawthorne was completed. True to form, the brothers' creative genius is reflected in the home, which includes a central vacuum device and a rainwater recycling system. For 34 years, Orville used Hawthorne House to host adventurers and innovators such as Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, and Charles Lindbergh. The National Museum of the Air Force houses the largest collection of military planes in 19 acres of indoor storage. There are two must-see exhibits here. The newest wing displays 10 presidential aircraft that flew presidents from Roosevelt to Clinton. The most famous is the Boeing 707 that carried President Kennedy's casket back to Washington following his assassination in Dallas. After 13 years of meticulous renovation, the museum proudly unveiled the Memphis Belle. This is a B-17 flying fortress. This aircraft is famous for being the first heavy bomber to successfully fly 25 missions over Europe during World War II. The Armstrong Air and Space Museum is located 70 miles north of Dayton in Wapakoneta, Ohio. This is the hometown of Neil Armstrong, the first man to walk on the moon, and one of the 25 astronauts from Ohio. Exhibits provide details of his life and include Apollo 11 articles, including a moon rock, plus the actual Gemini 8 capsule that Armstrong piloted and performed the first docking in space. Every July, the Dayton Air Show is held at the Dayton International Airport. The highlight of this event is a thrilling performance by the Air Force Thunderbirds. Dayton is often called the Gem City. This is not due to any mineral deposits in our city. It goes back to 1845 when a reporter wrote, "Dayton is a gem of all our interior towns in Ohio." The 2nd Street Market is a fun place to walk around, shop, and enjoy some delicious food. You'll find farmers selling locally grown produce, artisans displaying handmade crafts, and musicians performing live music. In the photo are ambassadors we hosted from Taiwan. The Oregon Historic District is Dayton's oldest neighborhood. Besides the beautifully restored homes and brick streets, this is a popular area for dining, arts, boutique shops, and nightlife. Dayton is experiencing a large boom in craft breweries. This provides many opportunities to socialize on an ale trail tour, savor some unique craft beers, and indulge in delicious pub food at over 20 unique establishments. The Gem City is fortunate to have a Class A minor league baseball team, the Dayton Dragons. They are affiliated with the Cincinnati Reds and continue to keep the record-breaking streak of sold-out games alive, the longest in big league baseball. The photo here shows ambassadors we hosted from Japan. The Great Miami River runs through downtown Dayton and provides easy access for kayaking, canoeing, and yes, even surfing. Even if you don't want to get wet, it's a great place to watch all the action. During the winter, on the levee just above the river, an ice skating rink is created for public skating. This is a beautiful setting for a fun family activity. The Esther Price Company is an interesting place to visit if you have a sweet tooth or if you're just looking for a delicious souvenir. Over 100 years ago, it started as a small family business which made and sold their famous chocolates from their house. The company continues the tradition of hand wrapping every box with a red ribbon. Dayton is a city of innovation. In the early 1900s, Dayton became the invention capital of the world with the most patents per capita. It was essentially the Silicon Valley of its day. The cash register, pop-top can, hydraulic pump, barcode scanner, car starter motor, step ladder, electric wheelchair, and yes, even the parking meter were developed in Dayton. A visit to the Carillon Historical Park is a great way to learn about both the history of technology and the history of Dayton. This 65-acre park and museum displays more Wright brothers artifacts than any other place in the world. One of the highlights is an original Wright Flyer 3, the first practical flying machine. The visual centerpiece of the park is the 150-foot Carillon, which houses 57 bells, the largest in Ohio. In December, it is transformed into a spectacular Christmas tree with lights strung from its peak to the ground. Dayton offers many opportunities for the outdoor enthusiast, and we have many club members who would enjoy sharing an outdoor experience with you. The extensive Five Rivers Metro Park system is comprised of 18 different parks. They offer hiking, camping, boating, horse bridle paths, fishing, and the Cox Arboretum even has one of the few butterfly houses in the nation. The Dayton area is nationally recognized for having 340 miles of paved bicycle trails, the largest system in the United States. This network provides scenic riding throughout our area and access to Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Columbus. Most of these paths are rails to trails, which offer safe, easy to pedal enjoyment for all ages. Excuse me. There are many cultural attractions to enjoy in Dayton. The downtown Schuster Performing Arts Center is a world-class facility that's home to the Dayton Philharmonic Orchestra, Dayton Ballet, and Dayton Opera. Across the street is Dayton's professional theater company, the Human Race Theater. Its performance schedule ranges from venerable classics like Fiddler on the Roof to showcasing new drama from up-and-coming playwrights. The Dayton Art Institute is also downtown and is one of America's finest mid-sized art museums. The 90-year-old building's design was inspired by an Italian Renaissance palace and is now listed on the National Register of Historic Places. It has an excellent permanent collection, which is augmented by several temporary exhibits each year. During the summer, there are 2 outdoor entertainment venues we enjoy. Love It Pavilion brings people of all ages and backgrounds together to experience free concerts and is located a few blocks from both Riverscape and the Oregon District. This is a photo of one of our members enjoying a concert there with some ambassadors from Taiwan. The Phrase Outdoor Pavilion is a fun place to enjoy local and nationally recognized musical artists of all genres. The Phrase makes their venue affordable for everyone with $5 Fridays and free concerts midweek. Our area has a rich history of ethnic and cultural diversity. For example, Paul Laurence Dunbar was an African-American poet, novelist, and playwright who was born in Dayton. His writings are critically acclaimed for their dialect and representation of Black life in America. Interestingly, he and Orville Wright were classmates and friends in high school. Dunbar lived in this home, which you can visit for 2 years until his death at the age of 33 due to tuberculosis. Just 19 miles west of Dayton is Wilberforce, Ohio. It not only is the location of 2 historically Black colleges, Wilberforce University and Central State University, but it's also the site of the National Afro-American Museum and Cultural Center. This museum houses an extensive collection of Afro-American materials, including Alex Haley's typewriter and his final draft of Roots, a buffalo hide worn by a buffalo soldier, and Gregory Hines tap shoes. Immigrants from more than 100 different countries call Dayton home. The top 5 countries of origin for these new citizens are Russia, India, Turkey, Philippines, and Mexico. A World Affair is a 3-day international festival held each May involving local organizations representing 35 ethnic groups. It is the largest international event in Ohio. There are 2 ancient Indian sites in our area. The Miamisburg Mound is Ohio's largest prehistoric burial mound. This 65-foot mound was built by the Adena Indians, who are the early ancestors of our Native American Indians. This site is also a great way to combine history and fitness as you climb the 116 steps to the lookout. The Sunwatch Indian Village is reconstructed for an ancient Native American village. It was an active archaeological site, but is now an open-air museum. Its name was inspired by a series of posts which are inside the circular plaza. They are believed to be related to astronomical measurements. Just a short drive from Dayton are several interesting sites, which you could opt to see with your host on an open day during your stay. Yellow Springs is a large arts community located about 20 miles northeast of our city. It's a great place to people watch as you walk around and check out the unique shops and quaint cafes. Feel free to wear that old tie-dye shirt, as is still in style in Yellow Springs. Just up the road from Yellow Springs is John Bryan State Park. It is located on a high bluff overlooking the Little Miami River and offers miles of scenic hiking trails. Afterwards, you can enjoy some incredible homemade ice cream and famous cheese curds at nearby Young's Jersey Dairy Farm. Farther north in Springfield, Ohio, is the Westcott House, a Frank Lloyd Wright designed home. This prairie-style house was built in 1908 and has been completely restored and is open for tours. Dayton became known as a city of peace because in 1995, it hosted the Dayton Peace Accords that ended the Balkan War. The Ambassador Richard Holbrooke Peace Plaza in Dayton honors the chief negotiator for the Bosnia peace talks. Instead of a more traditional location like Paris or Geneva, Holbrooke chose Wright-Patterson Air Force Base to sequester the attendees and keep them focused on the challenge to achieve peace. Following the war, Dayton established a sister city relationship with Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia and Herzegovina. In 1996, our club joined city officials for an inaugural trip to war-torn Sarajevo to develop a citizen diplomacy relationship. Over the next 10 years, Friendship Force of Dayton led numerous delegations of local leaders to the Balkan region to establish economic and civic initiatives. Our club also hosted Sarajevo contingents who traveled to Dayton for semi-annual celebrations to honor the peace accord. 2 of Dayton's outbound global journeys traveled to the Balkan region to show their support for peace and to listen to their hosts' stories of struggle, survival, and hope. Friendship Force members Ralph and Christine Dahl established the Dayton International Peace Museum, which is the only brick and mortar museum in America dedicated to nonviolent conflict resolution. It awards the Dayton Peace Prize, whose recipients have included Archbishop Desmond Tutu, President Bill Clinton, and Ambassador Holbrooke. Additionally, a Dayton Literary Peace Prize was created to recognize authors whose works are dedicated to advancing peace. The Peace Pole Monument was erected by Friendship Force Dayton to honor the peace agreement and recognize the dedication of other clubs that have traveled to Dayton. In this group photo are members of the Friendship Force of Denver and an open world group from Tajikistan. In conclusion, we hope our presentation will encourage your group club to consider Dayton as an exciting location for an outbound journey. You're always welcome to visit us. I will look forward to seeing all of you in the future. Now I'd like to turn the program back to Felicity for a question and answer session. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Bambi and Byron. I'll just wait. If you'd like to unmute yourselves, all of you, and we can have a quick talk about if any of you have questions. When I just to say a little something, I visited Dayton, as most of you know, 3 years ago, but I was only there for 3 or 4 days. So I didn't get to see all of the sites that are available to be seen from this video. So I'm looking forward to going back. I really am. I think it would be great fun. And I think it's great that we are able to have these joint meetings on Zoom. Yeah. Because it gives us all a chance to meet up and talk. Now, if anybody has any questions or comments or anything you'd like to add, please feel free.
I think Dallas, at least I'm ready to take a journey to Dayton. Yeah, I really am. If you know, and maybe they'll come see us in Dallas. We could do a club.
Yeah, that would be great.
Really enjoy that.
Would be great.
I am coming to I am coming to Dallas next month.
Oh yeah, really?
And I would love to be in contact with one of you, so I can meet up with you.
Sure.
Okay,
Bambi.
Bobby, why don't you contact? This is Felicity. Why don't you contact either Byron or Bambi or Susan Brenner? They all have my email address.
Okay. Okay.
So do feel free to contact them and get my. I won't give it you now because you just have to.
No, that's fine.
Find it. So just ask one of them, and it would be lovely if you could come and visit. And now, do you have someone to stay with while you're here?
No, I'm staying at a hotel.
You are? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that would be great. Just get my email address from them, and then maybe we can arrange a get together.
That'd be wonderful.
Lovely.
And hello, Bambi. I'm Julia, and we've been emailing. Let's hope we can set up a journey between us, maybe next year. I mean,
we started the process last year or the year before.
Right.
Yeah,
I was looking back and it was February 19. We
Okay.
started and then we were going to be 20 and then we were going to be 21. So maybe 22 will work. I hope so.
As soon as possible.
Yep.
That'd
Well,
be
we're
lovely.
all getting most of us have our COVID shots already. And we're kind of working on a policy with how do we handle the COVID and journeys. So we'll be in touch.
That would be great. We just did that. Our board just did that this past week. So I think that's important to do. So
Can you send me an email giving me an idea? Because we're just starting the committee.
I would
Well,
be happy to do that.
Julia, I will give you Bambi's email, or do you still
I
have
have
it?
it. Oh, we've been talking on and
Great,
off for 2
okay,
years.
all right.
Thank you.
Then you two can just talk about it between you. Great, good.
Thank you.
That'd be great.
Yes, Edward.
So of you Ohioans, so how many of you were born in Dayton or grew up in Dayton?
No,
Crickets.
So everybody, so did you all grow up in Ohio and then move to Dayton?
no.
No?
Well, I can't say I grew up in Ohio, but my wife grew up in Ohio and has lived here most of her life, so that counts for one.
All right.
I'm from New Jersey.
We came here with the Air Force.
Okay, so how many of you came with the Air Force?
Yeah, I did.
A lot, yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense. A lot of people came to Dallas for business
Mhm.
purposes, so.
Yeah, we're the same way in Dallas. We did a domestic to Harrisburg, New Jersey one time. And there were 20 of us and only 2 of us were really even from Texas.
Yeah, because like right now, I think there's, just a brief count, there's like 5 of us members who are Texans, 5 or 6 or so, and the rest have come from here, there, and everywhere.
Mhm.
Well,
Great country.
Yeah, right.
And so how long have you all been, roughly how long have you all been in the Friendship Force Dayton Club?
About 10 years for us.
3
Not
years
that-
for me.
yeah.
Vicky and I have been in for 25 years.
oh my
We
goodness.
we
Rob.
actually joined when they had the first Sarajevo anniversary. And my wife has led a couple of those trips to Sarajevo and to Croatia. And I think her first trip was like 2 or 3 years after the war ended, when everything was still totally destroyed. And all 3 of our daughters have been to Croatia or in Sarajevo with us.
I remember going to Yugoslavia when it was Yugoslavia in like the 60s.
Yeah, didn't
It
happen.
was a beautiful country.
Yeah.
I remember we went to Mostar and went to, there was a mosque just right next to downtown and they had a cemetery there and every grave was dated 1994.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there twice and absolutely love it. My background's Croatia, in case you didn't hear that coming in. Along Baška Voda, south of Split, along the coast. Beautiful, beautiful place.
It is.
Yes, I loved it. I went there and just loved it.
And also went to Mostar on one of those trips too.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
have a
great.
question for a Dallas member. I'm a big bicyclist. As you heard about, Dayton has the great bike trails. Are there some good bike trails in Dallas area?
Yes, there are
Yeah.
a lot of them. I didn't talk about it. There's a trail all the way around White Rock Lake for a start off. And then there are several, there's one that goes down to downtown. There's several, but there are a lot of bike trails.
Right.
A lot of bike.
Because what they did, Byron, is, and it sounds like what they did up in your area, is we had a lot, because Dallas was a big commerce area back in the late 1800s, early 1900s. We had a lot of trains. We had like 11 train lines coming in through Dallas. And so over the last 20 years, 25 years, they've reclaimed those rail lines and turned them either to walking parks or bike trails. So you can go from far north Dallas all the way down to Fair Park, down to southeast Dallas, down to Oak Cliff. So lots of riding.
Beth Tetzloff has been trying to say something for forever. Beth?
Oh, I was just going to comment on the Ohio cheese and that Young's.
Oh.
That I know something about. So I'm from the Midwest, from Wisconsin, and I know about Ohio cheese.
I'm from
You
Wisconsin
used to run a
also.
cheese factory, right?
Yeah.
What part of Wisconsin are you from?
Oh, I'm originally from around New Glarus, Monroe, in the Swiss region there.
New Glarus beer.
New Glarus
right.
beer, yes, yes. And then I lived in Port Washington on the Lake Michigan for 25 years before we moved to Texas because of grandchildren.
Do you remember Smith Brothers?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes, Smith Brothers, yes. Mm-hmm.
I grew up in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, just north of Port Washington.
Yeah. Small world, small world.
Family in Wisconsin and Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad we got some Badgers here.
Yes, there you go. Yeah, and those Buckeyes.
Well, you notice we have a lot of Brits. We
Yeah.
have at least 5 people on this call that are from
England.
I want to mention, since there are so few native Texans, I am 4th generation Texan. And was born like 50 miles east of Dallas. So all my people have been here for a very long time.
Me too.
And
Mary,
the other
me
comment,
too.
downtown Central Expressway at one time was the Central Railroad. Pacific in downtown Dallas was the Pacific Railroad. So those two railroads, crisscross, and the path is still there.
Well, I'm from Fort Worth, and my great grandfather was a lead drover on the Chisholm Trail.
Wow.
Oh, we've been here a while.
Yeah, there are a lot of good bike tracks in Fort Worth as well. Martha, if you want to talk, can you take your mute off? Take your mute off.
Martha, you are muted.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a Buckeye for a few years in the mid 50s when I was at Ohio State. So have good memories of Ohio.
And I was at University of Michigan.
Uh-oh. You know how those Buckeyes feel about the Wolverines.
That's right. You can't mention that here.
And I was from Michigan State.
Another
Oh my
one.
goodness. My goodness, there's a lot of ties. Edward, you've been waving your hand.
So Byron, so you were showing, so who was John Bryan of that state park that you showed? Do you know?
Uh-oh. Let me think here. Was he a Bambi or Bobby or Ron?
Does anybody know?
I think we're checking on it right now.
Gonna take a
The
Google.
reason I bring it up is, okay, so in the 1840s, when Dallas was first populated, when the colonized, whatever, settled, one of the persons who started the first trading post was John Neely Bryan.
Yeah.
And so in downtown Dallas, they've got, I don't know if it's his real log cabin or not, but they've got a recreation of a log cabin of John Neely Bryan. So when I saw that state sign, I was like, maybe it's his cousin.
Maybe not.
But this was so Dallas was started like 1840s, and it was there's not much here. The river, Felicity didn't have any shots of the picture of the river, and it's more kind of like a creek than it is a river. It does go, the Trinity River does go all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico, but it's not a very wide river. It was never a big commerce river. So that's why it was a big wagon trail, pioneer trail and in the late 1800s, big cattle trail. All the cattle that were coming out of South Texas were coming to Dallas and to Fort Worth to be shipped off into Kansas and Missouri and Chicago. And so we had a lot of other commerce, but not river commerce.
In fact, the Trinity flooded downtown Dallas until they, walled it up. So
yeah.
Edward, I just looked up John Bryan, and he was a local businessman who had a 335-acre estate. He left it to the state to be preserved as a park.
Okay.
And it was one of the first state parks in Ohio. So it's named after the guy that gave the land to the state.
Thanks.
I have another question for the Dallas group. I've been to the Cheyenne Frontier Days up in Wyoming for that big rodeo. What's the big rodeo in your area, and when is it?
Mesquite during the summer.
Fort Worth.
Couple.
Well, there's one in Mesquite and there's one in Fort Worth, isn't there?
There's one in Fort Worth Saturday nights, there's one in Mesquite on Friday nights during the season, whenever that is.
But that's a very small one. If you want a big one, you have to go to Fort Worth or you have to go to Houston. Both of those cities have huge rodeos every year.
Yeah. So
Fort Worth has the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo. The latter part of January, early February every year. It's about 3 weeks.
Oh.
And it's huge, absolutely huge. And then over in the stockyards, in the original Coliseum where the first indoor rodeos were held, they have rodeos every Friday night and Saturday night. So you can go there, and it's
you're of your choice. There's several around.
So there's a big circuit in San Antonio, in Houston, and in Fort Worth. There's a big stock shows because I mean it's like farming country 100 years ago, whatever. And so every year the news reports here's the 4-H kid or the whatever who's got the big steer or the big sheep or whatever it is, but then after they do that. And then our state fair, which we have in October, we didn't have it this last year. Our state fair was the same thing, but it was more of an agricultural show as opposed to a livestock or a rodeo type show.
Right.
They're always fun though.
Yeah.
So my husband and I were over in Fort Worth yesterday to the Kimball, and that's an art museum. And there were so many trailers, horse trailers and regular trailers that people travel in, and horses everywhere along University Avenue. So I'm not sure what was going on, but it was kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, well, I was over there Monday and it was the same thing. Some kind of big horse show was going on. We do have horse farms in the area. You saw on the video some of those where we had taken groups out to see the horse farms.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of fun to think about a world-class art museum being in the same mile as a big rodeo and stock show arena.
Yeah, they're just across the street from each other, in fact.
And the Cowgirl Museum.
Yes.
You're right.
Right down the street.
Absolutely.
Fort Worth is a jewel.
What's that? Fort Worth?
I think Fort Worth is a jewel.
Yes. Sandy, are you trying to say something? You're waving.
Yes, to Dayton, what's the best time of year if we were to come as a club to visit?
Personally, I think maybe late spring or early fall. I like hot weather, but a lot of people don't. So our summers can be a little bit hot, but I don't know. What do the other Dayton people think?
I agree. From late spring to,
Yeah, anytime from May to October.
Mm-hmm.
When you say hot, what do you mean by that?
They know hot, Bambi. They know hot.
I mean, we especially with all the crazy weather that's going on lately, we've had some really hot, but I guess you're accustomed to that. So I like it, but.
I mean, how hot does it get?
Oh, just like Houston or whatever, about 90, anywhere between 75 and 90 degrees. And sometimes very humid.
More humid.
But you know about humidity in Texas.
But I would say, come visit us anytime. We are, you know, ready. You're
We'll be
always
there in
welcome.
2 hours, okay?
We're dying to
Oh,
get
no,
on the
3.
road.
We got to go to the airport first.
Yeah, that does add extra time. Well, it's just past 11 o'clock, so this is the official end of the meeting. But it is open-ended. If any of you want to remain and talk and chat, do feel free. But also, if you have other things you need to go and do, it's been, obviously feel free to do that. It's been really lovely to talk to you, and
Yes.
I plan to make a return visit personally, whether it's on my
Good.
own or whether it's with the group, whether it's with the club, either way, or both. I do plan to return because there is a lot to see in that area, and I have not seen it all.
Well, you're very welcome at any time.
Great, Bobby. And
Okay.
I will wait to hear from you regarding when you're coming down here.
Okay.
So Felicity, thank you. Bobby,
Thank you.
or excuse me, Bambi and Byron, thanks to you guys. Thanks for you all. You all did a great
Yay,
presentation.
Good job.
I was glad to help you all set it up to get your technical chops together. So now you can do that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the video here